Now we are going to discuss the ethical issues, the marketing and the consumer. In this, we will try to understand the ethical issues with respect to different areas of marketing, and then some common ethical problems related to it, and the main rights which are involved. Like we have classified the areas of marketing into the three broad headings, like marketing management, marketing strategy and marketing research. And in marketing management, product policy, marketing communication, pricing and distribution of the goods and services, and the procurement of the raw materials. So, these type of things will be discussed. In marketing strategy, how the targeting of the consumers is done and whether they get excluded or not, these type of communication will discussion will be done. And in marketing issues, when you are discussing with the marketing research, issues related to privacy will be discussed. So, some of the in marketing management things related to the first we will start with the product policy, where the issues are related to product safety and fitness for the purpose. And the main rights which are involved over here are the rights to safe and efficacious products. In marketing communication, we will be dealing with deception, misleading claims, intrusiveness, promotion of materialism, creation of artificial wants, perpetuating dissatisfaction, reinforcing stereotypes, and these the main rights which are addressed over here are the rights to honest and fair communication and the right to privacy. In pricing, excessive pricing, price fixing, predatory pricing, deceptive pricing are the issues discussed, and it is the rights involved are the right to fair prices. In distribution, like buyer seller relationship, gifts and bribes, slotting fees are discussed, and the rights involved are right to engage in market and right to make a free choice. In marketing strategy, as discussed already, the targeting vulnerable customers and consumer exclusion are discussed, which focuses on the right to be free from discrimination and right to basic freedom and amenities. And in marketing research, privacy issues will be discussed, and it is mainly focusing on the right to privacy of the consumers. So, this discussion is mainly focused on the different rights of the consumers which gets involved in the different areas of marketing and the different sub processes of marketing, and what are the ethical issues that are coming up from them. In the subsequent discussion now, we will be focusing more into the details of more or less each of these issues and try to see the extent of the problem and the rights involved, and where the consumer's responsibility also comes in. And we will discuss advertisement in details, because that is advertisement as a communication is a very important tool taken by the organization when you are now talking of maybe reputation management, role of media and role of advertisements in communicating about the product or services or about the organization to its consumers or to the society at large plays a very important part. So, we will discuss advertisements separately, and we will try to focus on some of the other issues as mentioned over here in the slides into some details. The discussion as is done in this specific module of consumers and business ethics, this is based on the book from Business Ethics by Velasquez and Crane and Martin. So, for reference purpose, these two books should be referred to for further details about the concepts as discussed over here. So, we will start with the ethical issues in marketing management, and we will start our discussion with the product policy. So, when we are talking of the right that the consumers have a right to products and services which are safe, efficacious in nature and fit the purpose for which it is intended to, we are focusing or we are expecting, like the manufacturers have extended or have exercised their duty of due care in establishing that all reasonable steps have been taken so that their products are free from defects and safe to use. However, we may understand consumers' right to safe products, has already been discussed in the previous module, is not an unlimited right. Safety is also a function of the consumer and their actions and precautions taken to use the product as directed in the manual or for the purpose for which it is meant for. So, safety cannot be an unlimited right because it is a function of the consumer's choice also to use it in a certain way for the purpose for what it is determined and use it in the way as defined by the manufacturer. When we are talking of the ethical issues in marketing management and we are talking of certain of the practices, so we find like the criticism for and marketing communication generally, we are talking of advertisements. So, we can find like it can have two impacts at two different levels. Like at the individual level, we are more concerned with the misleading or the deceptive practices that may be aimed at creating a false belief about the products or services or the companies in the individual's consumer's mind. Another greater impact of advertisement could be with relevance to the social impact, where it creates, where we deal with an aggregate social and cultural impacts of like promoting materialism. So, as for the individual level, so marketing communication are generally aimed at, like when you are talking of what is the purpose of advertisement, there are twofold purposes. First, to inform consumers about goods and services, and second, it is to persuade consumers to purchase. So, we understand advertisement is a persuasive communication. It leads to deception when a marketing communication either creates or take advantages of false belief that substantially interferes with the ability of the person to make rational consumer choices. So, the advertisement becomes deceptive when it creates a false belief or takes advantage of the false belief, and then it interferes with the ability of the people to make choices. There are so many different examples of it with relation to advertisements, and then it leads to deception. This will lead to a social impact when they create artificial wants in people. They are reinforcing consumerism and materialism, and creates insecurity, perceptual dissatisfaction, and perpetuate social stereotypes. All these are like creating a difference between those who have those things, a social status difference between those who have those things and those who do not have those things, and the tension, the insecurity in the mind of the people who do not possess those things, and creating of an urge or artificial need in them to possess the things, so that they also gain the social status, prestige and other things. So, this could be the societal or cultural impact of marketing communication on the society at large, where it tries to inject some imbalances in the society, or the way that it is communicated. It creates a sense of insecurity or dissatisfaction or an artificial want to like possess certain things and just be equal with others, as or to get a glorified status of others, or some special recognition from a very attractive group of people whom I identify with as portrayed in the advertisement. So, like a subtle message, like if you are having this thing, then you get this thing which comes along with your possession of these things. So, these may create some imbalances in the society and create difference between those who can have the ability to opt for it and those who do not have the ability to opt for it. We will discuss the details of advertisement separately, because it is a very important point of discussion after we have discussed all the other related factors connected with the ethical issues and marketing management. One of the ethical issues related to marketing management is that of pricing of the product. So, pricing of the product is a key central issue to the notion of like fair exchange between two parties. So, right to a fair price is a right of the consumer as the stakeholder. So, but the definition of what is a fair price is like it should be equitable or equivalent to the values as or the quality as expected in the products or services. So, it is the consumer's mental map of what are the equitable prices which they are comfortable in paying for the quality as they are trying to see in the products or services. So, that will determine a fair price for the person, and that also a comparison what others are providing the goods and services at what price for the same quality. So, comparison of these things will help to understand the importance of fair pricing. So, 4 types of pricing practices where ethical problems may arise are like excessive pricing, price fixing, predatory pricing and deceptive pricing. So, when we are talking of excessive pricing, so it is making the product price so high that it appears to be valuable, and sometimes it becomes inaccessible to people who may want to buy it. So, that is excessive pricing. You are creating the value, apparent value of your product not by the quality of the product, but because people have a notion in their mind whatever is having a more price is more quality or more valuable. So, even if the quality of your product is not such high, you give some excessive pricing to it so that it appears to be a prized possession, a valuable thing, and so it it drives people to buy the thing, possess the thing, not for the quality of the thing, but it somewhere gives them a satisfaction, like yes, we are able to pay for it and like acquire it, sort of that type of satisfaction, possess it, which me, due to my financial power, I can buy, but others cannot buy, sort of. So, excessive pricing is that type of pricing strategy. Price fixing is where it is not a fair price, but it is a price which is more or less agreed by few players in the market, which is generally accepted by the manufacturers, group of manufacturers who enter into like cartel with each other, and that fix a price which reduces the consumer's choice of searching for alternatives where they can get things at a maybe lower price. So, fixing up a product price, a margin above than what is the actual fair price, and so this may lead to the consumer paying more than what is actual, and it diminishes their choice of looking for other alternatives. predatory pricing is like putting a price so low that even if you are giving your products and services at a very cheap rate to remain competitive, it will make people rush to you and buy your products and services, but it may put an entry barrier to other organizations, maybe newly found organizations, entrepreneurs, local manufacturers who cannot provide things at that price level, to have an entry into the market. And initially so it kills off sort of competition through that predatory pricing. And also, if this strategy is taken for long, it may affect the long term sustainability of the organization. If it has to remain financially viable and sustainable also, because there is a limit to this predatory pricing and providing things at a low cost, because then to what extent can you do, what is your research base, what are the things that you are maybe carteling on, or what is your capital base based on which you are providing this predatory pricing. So, this like things at a low cost, services at a low cost. So, and where actually you are making your, then how you are making your profits. These are ethical questions related to the predatory pricing. Deceptive pricing is where people are not able to understand that the price is for what quantity or what type of quality, and it is not mentioned in a proper way. So, they are not able to connect the quality and the quantity with the pricing, in terms of, maybe this happens in terms of when discounts are given, and people may be thinking like they are getting like price on their thing getting at a lower price, but on what the discount is given. So, things like you get buy like sort of buy one get one free sort of, and both you are getting, means you suppose pay this amount and get buy one and get one free. But question comes like, which are sort of, it attracts people to buy these type of things, but questions come like, are the products given worthy of the price that has been mentioned and then told buy one and get one free. So, these are called deceptive pricing strategies, and these could be ethical issues and problems with the pricing practices. Ethical issues in marketing management with respect to distribution are, here we are talking of the like procurement and distribution of the goods, raw materials, products and services, and maybe the after sales also. So, it talks of the relationship between the manufacturers and the firms, and the firms and the market. So, it is a primary concern of the supply chain issues. We will be discussing this in details in the following discussions, when we will be dealing with ethical issues of supply chain management. The examples could be like, the retailers are demanding slotting fees from manufacturers in order to stock their products so that it is visible to the people who are coming to buy it. So, these will be dealt in next chapter, as we told, in details. So it is also like, is it not like ethical issues could be like, is it not like the consumers are not having a full exposure of all the products and services when it is for the retailers, and they are trying to push sell things based on the margin that they are getting, and it is the consumers based on their trust on the retailers, and maybe the due to their options becoming limited by from the slotting which is done, so that some things becomes prominent for your access and vision, and some things are like not prominent in your shelves. So you end up buying one thing, though you maybe would have been searching for something different. So these are some of the ethical issues. Other issues are also related to it, like when you go for like go with other issues, could be like when you are going for your selection of your vendors, how you do it, then do you go for tracking back, like how the manufacturers are treating their stakeholders or not. So these will become a part of discussion when we are discussing supply chain management ethics. Next, we will discuss about ethical issues in market research, and this is one of the areas where we are focusing on the rights to privacy. So whether like the personal information are available online, and this when the personal informations are available online, then what happens, like whether the firms are utilizing these services for the purpose that it is aimed for, or they are selling their these information to other organizations which they have tied up with without the basic knowledge of the consumers that their data is getting shared with. So and then the other organization uses this data for calling people, targeting them as probable targets for their products. So use of like genetic testing for results by the insurance companies. Then when you're talking of advancement of technology and the use of like tracking one's information regarding personal data, so maybe based on the probability of like the sites that you are maybe frequently visiting, then trying to use analytics to find out whether you are suitable for other products or not. So these could be like ethical issues, like we have seen, like where cases have come up, like where you get in your mails maybe information about products which are not what that you want to aim for, or what you are not, what is not that desirable, and then but that is advertisement is sent to you based on the analytics that has been done based on the cookies present in your sites that you are maybe searching for, and then trying to relate one factor to the other, and then thinking like you are a probable consumer for it, sending you advertisements for it. So, this could have an impact on your social position and the privacy of the person and the social issues connected to your image that you are having. So, something which is maybe private to you, and the data, if it gets shared and if some surveillance mechanism is placed in while you are surfing through your internet, and then it gets related and tagged to factors, then and you are, the advertisements are sent by related or unrelated agencies based on certain assumptions made about you, then it can be a case of embarrassment to oneself. Now, we will discuss in details about the characteristics of advertising and what advertising actually is, what is its purpose, and how it affects people. When you are talking of characteristics of advertising, we understand advertising as a public communication aimed at a large social group, intended to induce members of this audience to buy the seller's product. So, we understand the keywords. It is a public communication, it is aimed at a public at large, aimed at a large social group, intended to induce members, persuade members of this audience to buy the seller's product. It succeeds by creating a desire for the seller's products or a belief that the product will satisfy a pre-existing desire of the individual. So, the criticisms based on advertisements are, it plays with the tests of the public, and maybe it has a moral implication in moving the public's tests to a lower level. So, but the counter criticism to this may not be a moral criticism. The criticism that it inculcates materialistic values has been countered by some in telling it ignores the lack of evidence that advertisement can change people's values. So, there is so lack of evidence for that, whether it can introduces materialistic values or not. So, what is the evidence for it? It is because it needs a lot of research before we come to this conclusion. So, criticism again for advertisement based on social effects is that its costs are selling costs, unlike production costs, and do not add to the utility of the products, that it doesn't increase the quality of the product, and so it is a waste of resources. So, this criticism again ignores the fact, the counter response is that this criticism ignores how advertising can increase consumption, which is good. So, if you are trying to relate it to this factor, then actually what you are coming to the focus is, it is not the advertisement per se, but also its purpose for what it is designed, how it is designed, how it is promoted. All these things are having an impact on the society at large. Like now, when you are talking of this Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, if it is having an impact on how the neighborhood is getting cleaned, or the people are becoming aware of their responsibilities towards a clean environment and maintaining the environment, and becoming more responsible for taking care of disposable waste and all. So then it is fine, it is very important, like it has led to certain positive changes which people were not aware of their responsibilities, but these advertisements have made them aware of. It has been criticized of advertisement, like it is used by big firms to create brand loyalties which let them become monopolies or oligopolies. But the response doesn't focus, the counter response is that it has never been proved, like the monopolies or oligopolies form, like whether it advertises more or less than the small firms. So this is a topic of research interest, and it should be some concrete evidence to show, like whether they are advertising more than the small firms or not. The criticisms of advertisement based on its effects on desires is that it creates psychic desires, which is unlike physical desires are unlimited. So, and it goes like this: psychic desires are created so firms can use us to absorb their output. Using this way, treat us as means and not as an end, so it is unethical. So this criticism, it ignores studies which suggest non-subliminal advertisement cannot create and manipulate desires in adults. So this is a research area which shows subliminal advertisement has an impact on creating and manipulating desires in adults. So this criticism has not taken care of these studies. So this part of the discussion is trying to focus on the role of advertisements and some criticisms of advertisement, maybe some myths about the advertisement, and to show the ethical responsibility of the advertisement, to what extent it is like responsible for certain things happening, and the discussion that we try to discuss on based on the various criticisms faced by advertisement as a marketing communication practice, and the responses, counter responses to it based on the evidences that are available, tries to tell for the fact, like advertisements as a medium of communication, advertisement as a way of communication, the way that you try to make your information public to the people at large, so that it creates an intention in them to behave in certain way in terms of buying your products or services, or going for the mission as like which is like given as a direction in the advertisement. So this by itself is maybe not unethical in nature. What makes it unethical then is first maybe the purpose, the intention with what you use it, and the way that you use it. So next part of the discussion will be focusing on then if it has been like if in the previous discussions where we have tried to negate, through this the various criticisms on advertisements based on its effects on desires, or its criticism based on the social impacts, or the criticism based on the social effects in terms of like introducing materialistic values or not, then is it that advertisements do not have a gray shade to it? So that we'll try to focus now, like what brings advertisement to the gray area of where we talk like this could be unethical. So this is where requirements of deceptive advertisement is where the media, or like we have already discussed about deceptive advertising in the previous discussion, where we are discussing shortly about what is deception, means creating a false impression in a person's mind or giving a false belief which is not the actual that you are trying to communicate about, is the deceptive advertisement. Like, and it is mainly targeted to the vulnerable customers who are not in a position or who lacks the capacity to recognize the deceptive nature of the advertisement. So it is like media or intermediaries who communicate the false message of the advertisement. So these type of advertisements which gives you a false impression, false belief, or it plays on some of the beliefs on for which it doesn't have any logical proof for it, and then it tries to re-emphasize on those beliefs, then it is a sort of a deceptive nature of the advertisement. And also the advertisements should not be such like it should not interferes with the privacy of the people, and this also has a lot of effect on the cultural aspects of the where the advertisement is given and what way it is given. So this is very important, like the privacy of the person also gets respected. The cultural norms on what is defined to be a private zone of a person or a private zone of a person's relationship needs to be respected also, not only in marketing research but also when we are talking of designing advertisements. So the debate could be here, like, is there something, a general sort of advertisement which is applicable to all the cultures, or there are certain issues where advertisements should be culture specific, where taking care of the privacy issues of the person and the dignity of the human dignity and rights, which is very culture specific, and the advertisement should be respecting that. Otherwise it may send a like very negative message about the organization which is targeting its customers maybe in that particular region or of the country, and may lead to the having a negative impact on the products and the services and whether people are really going to buy it or not. So this, like when you are talking more of the privacy issues, more focusing on maybe as a domain which is important both for advertisement and respecting the privacy issues of the person while we are going for market research. As we saw, like privacy is one of the major important issues. So we need to understand, like, the data that you are collecting about it, is it required for a legitimate business need? So is it relevant for the business need? So is the consumer gets informed, like the is collected for this purpose, or the consumer consent on the information disclosure, is the information that has been taken is accurate or not? So or it has been used by ways which is the for which the consumer did not consent at all. So this will understand, like, this is a responsibility not only of the organization per se to look into these issues and then ask for the consent, and then maybe give a like disclaimer sort of thing, like it will not be used for any other purposes beyond for what the purpose it is connected and all data is collected. But it is an equal responsibility of the, this is more so when you are talking of maybe free downloads facility and all this stuff, like there is always a sort of things that you read, a lot of things that are written that you read, you are expected to read from the company's side before you enter into an agreement and give your consent by stating I agree. So you have to check that box, enter it, and then only maybe the facilities come to you. So it is an equal responsibility of the users to read thoroughly through the steps given or the different situations given where their data that is tracked through this while you are using a phone or you are browsing a site where you are downloading things, in what all related or unrelated cases it may be used, and then read it carefully, understand the greater implications of it, and then only sign for I agree to it. But in many cases, due to the vulnerability of the age, the urgency of the need to get something in a free services, because we have as if we have no time to wait and read, and we just abruptly put a choice to I agree, and in the greed for maybe the or in the urgency or for what we are getting as the benefit, but that may have a long term implication on into like which could be an intrusion into our privacy. So it is not only the responsibility of the organizations, but it is equally the responsibility of the individual also who is agreeing to it. And then the again debates may arise about, like, can everybody have that power to agree to choose, because then who is a vulnerable consumer and not. So there comes again maybe the restriction of the right to get the right to use something, not to use something. So whether you have a unlimited right or your right is limited to based on certain other related factors, we have to decide over here, because it may so happen when you're talking of ethical or unethical issues, when you're talking of ethical dilemma, it may so happen 2-3 rights of a specific person may come in conflict with each other, and in order to decide how to move forward in an ethical way, and so that the no harm or minimization of the harm of the consumer or the society at large is taken into consideration. Maybe there it is required, like one right will supersede the other right, and that's how the ethical decision is arrived at. And so the practices as determined will supersede, like one right may in some cases supersede over the other right, and then maybe it is required for the long term effect of respecting the right for the greater interest for the of the individual or the society at large. So these dilemma will be coming, and we have to try to answer to these issues in this way, like what all rights are coming to conflict. So which will have, so like if you are respecting one right, so is it that it may be misused, and so that it becomes a long term effect on the other right, so which will supersede other, and so it gets respected and the other gets a limited application. These are the things that needs to be discussed before coming to certain decisions, ethical decisions about the relation, like person in enjoying certain rights, consumers enjoying certain rights, and the corresponding duties of the firm towards them, and also the consumers having certain duties for themselves in how they are using their products and services. Next, in the next module, we are going to discuss about the globalization and the effect on the consumers. Thank you.